All right, so social media in our ongoing dialogue here is not just something that can be used to market, to push people through the funnel. It can also be used as a way to sort of grow, to evolve, to innovate. And I actually think that that's some of the most powerful and not often discussed enough aspects of social, is that how do you tap the wisdom of the crowds to help you do things better than you do them today, or to find new ways to earn relevance in ways that you couldn't even imagine or see today. So with that, I would love you to help me welcome Paul Wilmore, who is with Barclaycard US. Come on up, Paul. Well, as we jump in, just spend maybe a few seconds describing your role with the organization.
Sure. So my name is Paul Wilmore. I'm Managing Director of Consumer Markets for Barclaycard US. So I'm responsible for, we're a monoline credit card issuer in the US, and I'm responsible for all of the Barclaycard branded business.
Right. Well, let's just start by saying you're in a regulated industry, and that it's not necessarily as free to do things that we've heard in terms of other examples throughout the conference, but that doesn't stop you. That is something that we could appreciate. So why don't you talk a little bit about sort of this crowdsourced card campaign and give people a little bit of history of what that was.
Sure. So about 6 months ago or so, we launched our first online community. And so we created these online financial communities that allow community members to both participate in and benefit from the collective performance of the community. Mm-hmm. So underlying that today is a very, very simple credit card product. It's one low rate. There's no promotional rate. There's no rewards. It's one low rate. Average rate in the US today is about 15%. The rate on this card is 8%. It's not $7.99, it's 8%. It also comes with one very unique feature, and that's that we're actually going to share profit generated by this community back with the community. And we're actually going to engage them to tell us how to allocate that profit, whether back to individual members or aggregate it and put it towards charitable donation.
Wow. So I can't imagine that you came up with this idea and said, I think we should do this, and had immediate buy-in across the board. I mean, what did that internal dialogue look like?
Yeah, you know, it was surprising. Our CEO was very, very enthusiastic about this. You know, since the Credit Card Act happened, it really changed the industry. It is a very highly regulated industry. And the regulators are telling us three things consistently. You've got to be simpler, you have to be more transparent, and you have to be fair.
Right.
And this product, in a lot of ways, hit all three of those components. I can remember the day where I walked into my CEO's office and said, I think one of the key things we need to do is actually publish our P&L on the community website. So after I picked him off the floor and said, it's okay, it's going to be okay, that's one of the key components for us to actually generate this feeling of trust and transparency with the community. We literally publish our P&L every month on the community website, so they see how much money we make related to the community and how much profit we're going to share back with the community.
We've been talking about trust and transparency quite a bit, and I don't know that I can honestly say I've ever heard that much transparency with the credit card company in ever. I mean, we're talking about an industry where customers in general are just not even sure, you know, really what the deal is, because they're sold one thing, and of course there's all the things that sort of protect the issuer, but customers don't read everything before they sign. It's sort of like terms of service for a lot of social networks. But at the end of the day, there's this implicit trust that they hope that they're signing up for the right thing. But I gotta imagine, though, that even other organizations here that are represented in the regulated industries, we have the drug industry here, we have insurance, we have finance here. I mean, what advice do you have to them before you could go so extreme on getting transparent? I mean, just even breaking through a lot of risk-averse cultures and everything associated with that.
Yeah, you know, our standpoint was we had to be disruptive in the marketplace, right? Mm-hmm. We are a small brand. Our brand awareness in the US is very low. But we also have 300 years of experience. So we're in a very unique position to actually be disruptive in the market. And so some ways, by putting the P&L out there, we're trying to be disruptive. By also sharing profit, we're trying to change the dialogue with our customers, right? It's about giving our customers choices and trade-offs, and we want them to help evolve this program, and they'll vote on product features, they'll vote on policies. They may even vote on kind of where the credit card should be serviced, domestically or onshore. But by allowing them to be engaged almost like a shareholder it changes the dialogue that we're having with them. So all of a sudden we can have conversations that may say, would you like your credit card serviced domestically or offshore? If it's domestically, it's going to be $30 an hour. If it's offshore, it's $15 an hour. Community, you have skin in the game. Are you willing to pay twice as much per hour to have it serviced onshore? Is it that important to you? That's a decision that the majority of companies in the US today do in a black box by thinking they know what the customers want, by actually including the customers in that dialogue, allowing them to vote on features or trade-offs like that. It's something that we think is very, very different in the industry.
Well, most companies aren't asking people what they want, and therefore when they make decisions and they're surprised that customers didn't like it, then they have to go and fix it. And that was done quite publicly, I think last year by Netflix, when they decided to do a 1-2 punch with raising prices and spinning off part of its brand, and they sort of realized, oops, you didn't like that, so we're going to bring that back in. And I was asked by, I think it was a Fortune reporter, what do you think they did wrong? I said, they had a real wonderful opportunity to build a community, ask a community what they think about this, and then make some strategic decisions based on that.
That's exactly right, and that's exactly the type of thing that we're trying to do. This community serves many functions for us. One is to make those trade-offs. One is just to get feedback. Are we doing a good job or not, or where could we do better? Your customers will tell you exactly what you want them to say. You just have to give them a forum and encouragement to do it.
Right.
And I think by creating this community, we've done that. We've given them a platform to give us ideas on how to evolve this model further.
Okay, so I think everybody in the room will probably nod their head like, yeah, we get it. We understand the importance of community. And for the folks here in the regulated industry, what advice do you have for them? Because I'm pretty sure you had to talk to the legal team before you could get this approved. What did that look like?
Yeah, so that's probably the toughest part of this, right? Blogs that we go to post or tweets that we do have to go through 3 rounds of legal review before they actually get out there. So I'd love to tell you that they were spontaneous, and we had this spontaneous dialogue with all of our customers, but the reality is we don't. We try to make it as real time as possible, but everything we say has to go through a filter of legal review, which makes this social transparency and this social dialogue a lot more difficult in a regulated industry. But we're trying to streamline it. We have a legal person who sits on our team now who actually reviews things before it goes out so that we don't get in queue behind 15 other projects that have to be reviewed. I think people appreciate the immediacy of getting back to people with feedback if they have questions or they're confused about something. So I think the organization is learning how to do it, but it's definitely blazing a lot of new trails for us.
Yeah, aside from just having, it sounds like you have a spirit of competitiveness and innovation within the organization. I mean, that's important. The culture of the organization helps you sort of expedite a lot of the things that you're going to do. But some of the people here just don't have that type of culture that they're going to go back and they're going to try to evolve it, they're going to try to change it. But I got to imagine at some point in all of this, you had to make the case to take these risks, especially with legal. Yeah. And what was it that you felt would put them over the edge, or what got them listening? What did you have to do? Yeah,
there were a couple things. We went right to the CEO first. We got buy-in at the CEO level, and from there it made things a lot easier to trickle down. And we positioned it initially as a pilot. Look, we want to try something new. We want to try it differently. For the first 6 months, everybody, even internally, was NDA'd. So we actually pulled them out of their day-to-day jobs, and we stuck them in a part of the building where no one else went. And so literally we tried to create somewhat of a startup feel underneath a big corporate umbrella. And by doing that, they weren't doing this 1 or 2 hours, on the weekends or something like that. This was their full-time job for about 9 months to actually build this community. So as I said, it created this sort of collegial group that all came together, and they felt excited about it. People were knowing that they were trying to be disruptive, and I think that sense of doing something new or trying to break down boundaries got people excited about it.
That is the second time we've heard this idea of breaking out within the organization, a startup-like culture, so it's like a subculture within the organization so that you can do what it is that you're setting out to do. And in both of those cases, it has been around a pilot. But the CEO buy-in, I mean, that's carte blanche, I got to imagine, but did you have to package it in a way that sort of had business?
Yeah, to his credit, this didn't come with a huge ROI. We talk a lot of messages today about ROI. I didn't come in there saying, here's my investment, and in 6 months, here's going to be the return. Because quite frankly, I didn't know what the return was going to be. I'm hoping that by creating these communities, I can actually change consumer behavior. It's going to take me at least 12 to 18 months to start seeing any sort of change in consumer behavior. And where's it going to go? I'm not really sure. No one's ever tried this before, especially in the credit card industry. So my biggest job right now, in addition to be the champion for this, is to make sure that people continue to have patience, right? And to be able to make sure that people aren't sort of saying, where's my return? You know, how come I'm not getting that investment? It's going to take time, and this whole idea of this concept for consumers is a brand new one, and it's going to take time for them to understand what exactly it is.
You know, the idea of the CEO really getting into it, not pushing you on an ROI, at least where executives in general pushing you on an ROI, you must have had a counterbalance to that in terms of, look, I need you to have patience, but here's what we're working toward. Did you have to lay out that story, and what did that look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a story for a model that shifts. You know, you have to show them a path over time. This is what it could be. So this wasn't about building one community. This was about building a platform that I could then build multiple communities off of.
Right.
And maybe those multiple communities coalesced around a profession. So either, you know, working moms or PhDs or other things like that, where I could actually create communities that had a little bit more connective tissue. So this pilot was one community, but certainly the future of this was, how do I build multiple communities that all coalesce around different things, different products, different ideas?
Well, with the minute that we have left, what have you learned so far?
So it's been a phenomenal ride. So it's been a tale of two cities. On the one side, the engagement has been phenomenal. So members answering other members' questions, coming up with great ideas. That part's been great. The acquisition side has actually been slower than we expected. And I think, you know, we're learning the reality that a lot of other folks have already discovered, which is, you know, social media does not equal direct response. You know, I've spent 20 years learning about direct response, right? Strong call to action, get them right to the application, get them to apply.
Right.
That is absolutely not what social media is about. It's about earning the right to sell. It's about building the relationship. A lot of people have mentioned it over the last 2 days. And we're seeing that absolutely in our numbers, that it's going to take a while for us to actually acquire a lot of new accounts.
Well, Paul, thank you so much for your honesty and also for sharing a story like this, because it's something that we're all facing in many ways and in different ways. But at least you're plugging away, you've got support, and you're trying, you got this pilot, you got the startup culture. I admire you for it. Thank you so much, Paul.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thank you.